For my capstone project, I'm focusing on standardized tests as they incorporated into entrance to higher exams. Standardized tests obtain great importance within the higher education community, success in education, and opportunities in life. In researching information from PBS, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, and understanding studies conducted by Harvard and Stanford, it is evident to me the blunt disparity within standardized tests. Students of color, including Blacks, Latinos, and American Indians, obtain lower test scores when compared to white students of the same age. My question for the Capstone Project is, in what capacity is standardized testing unfair to students of color? In conducting research and understanding standardized tests, I'll propose resolutions to this issue. Congressman Lewis has a passion and interest in racial and educational issues. Congressman Lewis was an avid participant and influential member in the Civil Rights Movement. In 1961, he participated in Freedom Riders, which black students rode the segregated buses throughout the South. Also, he was a president of SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which organized sit-ins, voter registration, and community activities. Congressman Lewis was one of the Big Six leaders in the Civil Rights Movement and is remembered for his march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. Additionally, Congressman Lewis cares about education, as he was a keynote speaker for Freedom Writers, which is a wordplay on Freedom Riders. Freedom Writers is an organization that provides opportunities, trainings, and grants for teachers to improve their quality. I attended his keynote address where he emphasized that all students, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, and religion, need to be treated equally within the classroom and other activities. Additionally, he improves the caliber of public schools and ensures that accessibility of higher education, especially for Black and Latino students. Finally, Congressman Lewis stresses the importance of diminishing the gap of scores between all students in standardized testing. In all these graphs, green represents Blacks, red represents Latinos, and blue represents whites. These graphs show that white people receive higher scores than Latinos, and lastly, Blacks. According to Claude Steele, a professor from Stanford University, the SAT has a very, very racist past. The SAT was initially used to eliminate Southern Europeans, Jews, and other minority groups, as they receive lower scores, making the fundamental sentiment of the SAT to disenfranchise minority groups. The score gaps of Black and Latinos to whites is apparent in standardized testing achievement. Christopher Jenks, author of the Black-White Test Score Gap, indicates that the SAT assesses a person's skills rather than their intellectual knowledge and educational attainment. Furthermore, studies conducted indicate that the language or instructions of standardized testing affects a group's performance containing racial bias. One possible reason, by Steele, is a negative stereotype threat and self-imposed stigma that undermines a student of color's performance. Another explanation is environmental factors, including access and treatment. According to Harvard University, in terms of the score gap, Blacks lose ground relative to whites because they attend lower quality schools. The long-term effect is economic consequences that disadvantage people of color in educational attainment, which relates to lack of employment opportunities and later lower socioeconomic status. In summary, standardized testing is unfair to students of color in the capacity that, based on their parents' educational attainment, living environment, social class, educational caliber of their school, negative stereotypes, and learning styles, which are uncontrollable factors, students of color are disenfranchised in standardized testing from adolescence to adulthood. My resolution to the standardized testing gap is to provide free SAT and ACT prep classes within high school and affordable MCAT and GRE prep classes within college, to allow a third-party system to perform an annual audit of standardized tests, and to encourage test-optional schools, specifically colleges and graduate schools, via tax reductions and subsidies.